Some country is covered with brush, and sometimes that brush can get so thick and entangled that you can't hardly even crawl through it. And some kinds of brush have got thorns on them. And so as you try to work your way through it, it rips and tears at your shirt, and it's just a tangled mess. Places have cactus that the cactus is so thick that you can't hardly get through it. You've got different kinds of cactus like cholla that just gets in everything. And if you got to go through some real thick country, well, you're just going to be wearing it before you get done. Well, God gave the Israelites some pasture. He gave them some country. It was called the land of Canaan. And it wasn't so much the cactus or the brush that they had to deal with. It was the Canaanite tribes. And God was bringing judgment upon these people for their idolatry and their abominable practices that they were doing. And he told the Israelites to drive them out of the land. Countless times God tells them, you are to deal with these people. You are to drive them completely out of the land. But the temptation, of course, was to only partially do that. And so God warned them in Numbers chapter 33 and verse 35. He says, but if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come to pass that those which ye let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes, thorns in your sides, and shall vex you in the land wherein ye dwell. They are going to be like a brush that's got thorns, or like cholla cactus, and every time you go through that country, they're going to stick in your eyes and be thorns in your sides, and they're going to do you damage. They're going to cause you problems all the days that you live here. So you've got to deal with them up front. Well, this is such a picture for us because, of course, as we read through our Bible, we know that Israel did not completely deal with them, and certainly they were thorns in the sides of Israel. They caused a lot of problems to the Israelites. But in a way, they are a picture for us of dealing with our own lives. You see, when we invite Jesus in, when we receive Christ into our life, God wants for him to come in and for us just to give him free rein to clear the brush out. And it's the thing that he wants to do. He wants to clear that brush out, to clear that cactus out, to open up the pasture of our life. But unfortunately, sometimes we leave some country that we don't clear. And when that happens, I guarantee you it's going to vex us later on. There's an interesting verse in Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, wherefore seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. That besetting sin that he's talking about here is like brush in a pasture, or like the Canaanites in the land of Canaan. It is something that surrounds and entangles. That's what it means to beset. You see, an ancient Israelite man would have worn a long outer garment. And that thing was good for keeping you warm and for keeping the sun off of you. But if you needed to run, you'd get tangled up in it because it just would wrap around you and your legs in every way. And so when a man was getting ready to run, he would gird up his loins. In other words, he'd take that long shirt, that long jacket he was wearing, he'd tuck it up under his belt so that he could run freely. You see, if you're going to serve Jesus, you've got to allow him to get that stuff, those old habits, those old sinful things that you used to indulge in. You got to let him have all of those. Clear that brush out of your life. Get rid of all those thorns, all that cactus, so that you can run the race, running for Jesus. He says in verse 2, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinner against himself, lest you be wearied and faint in your minds. Listen, don't give up. Don't ever give up. Give that to Jesus. Allow him to clear that brush out of your life so that you can have open pasture. God bless you. Have a great day.